Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning is a non-profit registered society working now for more than 4 decades in the areas of Indian heritage awareness.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gurur Murti, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Gurur Kripaha. This seminar is a very joyous occasion because this is the time when, we as speakers, we always say we are the speakers, but actually we're the persons who get maximum benefit during this time. The speaker gets the maximum benefit because he or she has to actually read something and learn something because we have to speak something, right? So it's always it's a good sort of refreshing course for especially for me. So when Dr. Sharda and me were discussing what do we have in this seminar, she said we'll transcend time and space using self-inquiry and surrender. And I was the last 10 days I was in a West Karnataka tour. I was touring all the temples in West Karnataka, and I was thinking, what do I speak? And my way of spirituality is keep it very, very simple. So I'm, I don't understand much of the Shastras and the Vedas and all those things, but in my own simple way, I will try and tell you my understanding of self-inquiry and surrender. So before we start, it's we will chant the Om 3 times. So it's important that we just close our eyes, sit in a comfortable position, hands on on your handles of your, and close your eyes, and we'll chant 3 times. Take a deep, long breath. So, as we discussed, we said, the topic was the quantum leap. Okay, quantum leap. How do you get quantum leap? By transcending time and space using self-inquiry and self-surrender. So the important thing I thought is the first thing to understand is there is something common between all of us. So what is that what's common amongst all of us? We're all human beings, right? We are all human beings. That's a common thread we have right now among all of us. But do we always link ourselves with ourselves? Do we link always with ourselves, or do we link with outside? Now, we have come all the way from wherever we have come. Some come from Chennai, some have come from other places. We've seen a lot of things around. We have seen trees, we have seen water, we have seen plants, we have seen rivers. Do we ever stop and watch and see that what's the common thread between us and, for example, a tree? We keep on giving carbon dioxide outside, and what does the tree do? It takes the carbon dioxide and converts it into oxygen and gives it back to us in the pure form. We again take that in and then we give it carbon dioxide. So is there a thread, is there a common thread between us and the trees? There is. Similarly, we all have had lunch today. Did we ever think of the farmer who actually plowed the fields, put the seeds, prayed to the gods for the rains, and then the harvest came out, he harvested it, sold it in the open market, and got some money, and that was cooked, and it came to you right on your plate. Did you ever think of that farmer who did this? So we actually are in a situation where we are actually quite selfish. We are far away from creation. So the purpose of this seminar is to really go inside and understand how we are all interconnected. What is this common thread that is keeping us all going? So that's all about today. We'll try and find out what is this common thread. Now, how many of us have woken up in the morning and questioned, will I be able to breathe today? Or will my heart be beating today? We took it for granted. There was a power that is inside us which is making everything happen. As I talk, these vocal cords are moving. Bhagwan is putting something into this mind. The vocal cords are moving, and something is coming out of this instrument called this body. It's happening. So there is a power behind everything that happens. If you put a plant in a dark room and give a small hole where light can come in, where will the plant go? It will go towards the light. So there is a power which makes everything happen. So how do you actually get to this power is really the question. So all of us, when we go through our lives, we are in a situation where all our senses are going all the time outwards. Do we ever stop and think, how are things happening in my life? How is the food? We ate this food. We took it for granted that the food will get digested, right? Did we ask the stomach or ask the body, hey, will you be able to digest this food? I'm putting this food into my mouth. Will you be able to digest it? We never asked that, right? We just took it for granted that it will happen. So there is this core in everything that makes things happen. That little seed will go into the ground, and there will be a shoot which will come up, and the root will go down, and the tree will grow into a big banyan tree. So the important thing for all of us to understand is behind all this externalization that we are seeing is something more fundamental. There is something more within each one of us, which is the existence. And what do we call it? See, people call it by different names. I have put it as divinity. So there's divinity in each one of us. So what is divinity? Now, for example, if you go to a temple and your neighbor who does not like you, or you don't like your neighbor, both of you are standing in the temple in front of God. And when what happens? You close your eyes, you're praying, and he comes and stands next to you. You open your eyes and find him standing there. What would you do? You just let it be, let him be, and you'll also stand there, and there won't be any conflict at that point of time. Why is that? Because at that point of time, you are in touch with your divinity within. The more and more you are in touch with your divinity within, what happens is you will start seeing the same thing outside. So that form who's your neighbor, who's not your friend, whoever is standing there, he also is praying to God. He's come to a sense of ekagrata. He's come to a sense of one single pointedness just by seeing the picture or the idol of the Lord. And then what happens? He's also at peace. So, what happens in that temple is that you are in touch with your core, which is the divinity, which is actually there in everything. That's why Bhagavan always says, Hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahma matram. That God is there in the cave of your heart. You just have to turn inwards. And once you turn inwards, you are in touch with that divinity within yourself. So this divinity, we call it as God. And what are the attributes of God? Love, peace, forgiveness, all the higher mind things which you go to after giving up the lower mind of lust, greed, anger, hatred and jealousy. After you give up all those lower mind things, you go to the higher mind, which is what we believe is the higher mind. Obviously, you need to obviously transcend that too, that we'll discuss later on, but the basic thing is we need to be in touch with that divinity within. So, when we actually are in touch with that divinity within, then what do we see? We are in love with ourselves first, and then we are in love with everything. See, we always believe that I am in love with myself, but I do not love anybody outside. But actually the world is just a reflection, as a mirror of, if you don't love anybody outside, be very sure that you actually don't love yourself. So, once you start loving yourself, and then you'll come to a situation where there won't be another. The otherness will not be there. That's what happened to those two people in the temple. When they are standing together in front of God and praying, what happens is that man's, though he outside the temple, they both are not friends, but inside the temple, both of them in front of God are together in prayer. So there's the absence of otherness. So let us see what are the different types of common threads that are there in society. One of them, which is the most common thread, a family, right? When you see a family, there's a common thread among all the family members. So they always are together. But once you go a little beyond that, what happens is the connections are lost. This common thread is lost. If my wife and my son are there, okay, but if somebody else is there, I don't see that person as part of me. Why is that? Why is that? Because we are very, very focused on ourselves. We really do not want, if I am happy, it doesn't matter if somebody else is happy or not. If I am happy, God will look after everybody else. But I am going to be happy myself. So, and what happens when you come to a situation of me, myself? The trick about all sadhana, the trick about spirituality is to be able to grow from me to we, and from we have to grow to the highest level, which we'll also talk about. So, how do we realize the common thread? So, there are three aspects I have taken up. Obviously, all of you have experienced different aspects in your lives, but I've taken up three aspects which are normally practiced by people who are in the spiritual path. Now, why the spiritual path at all? See, when you're a child, the child will ask the father, why? Why should I, like if I tell my son, don't cut your nails on Saturday. Okay, I'll say, don't cut your nails on Saturday. Then what he'll say? He'll ask me, why? Why should I not cut my nails on Saturday? Or he says, the barber takes a holiday on Tuesday. Why does the barber not take a holiday on Sunday? So there's always this question of why? So my understanding of why spirituality is really to be able to go within and to be able to quieten the mind. The more and more we are able to quieten the mind, the desires and the vasanas that are prevailing within us the intensity of those reduces. By which what happens is our outwardness that we typically, because of our senses going outward, the outwardness, the intensity reduces. So the first thing that normally people do is nama japa, chanting of God's Lord's name. So how would you do chanting? You could idly do it loudly, or you could do it quietly. Quietly means what? Your tongue inside will be moving, maybe your lips are also moving. Or you could be thinking of your God, your Ishta Devata, and doing Nama Japa. Now what happens with this is the mind gets purified. What is mind purification means? Chitta vritti nirodha, avoiding thoughts coming to your mind, is actually beneficial for you because your mind is like a monkey. It keeps on running here, keeps on running there, and it always wants something outside, and it seeks gratification, it seeks whatever it wants to seek in the public domain. But it does not want to go into the private domain because there is nothing to seek. So, the Nama Japa helps you to come, stay within. The second is Dhyana. So, that is one of the major things of this seminar is going inwards through the process of self-inquiry. So when you do self-inquiry, what happens is actually initially you believe that God is within you. And as you go more deeper and deeper and deeper, you transcend from an idol to a name, from a name to something beyond that, and then finally you come to this stillness within yourself. So dhyana it has great benefits, and Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi always says that self-inquiry is the best way of doing dhyana. The third thing is seva, is actually doing good to others. Now, how many of us do good to others? Okay, so there are some hands who went up. So the important thing is really, how many of us really do good to others? That means you love somebody else as much as you love yourself. Like dharma, what is the definition of dharma? Do something unto others as you want others to do to you. So then what happens is when you actually do something with great love and care, what happens? It is actually an offering to God. That means what? You are actually seeing the presence of God within the other jiva. When you do that, what happens? There is a sense of surrender. Sar ko under dalna. You actually put your head under the feet of God and saying, whatever I am doing, actually I am offering at your feet. If this hand goes up, it also goes up because I am offering this action also of mine to you. So more and more what happens is your every task, every thought, word and action that you do becomes actually an offering to the Lord. And this is what we call as surrender. So what we really need to do as part of this common thread is we need to expand ourselves from the limited to the unlimited. So what happens when you go from unlimited to unlimited? Initially, you will see yourself as this body, mind, ego complex. And then what happens is you will grow and grow out of this body, mind, ego and encompass everything like you encompassed your family, you'll encompass the entire universe as part of you. So, I thought let us, it's always good as part of the training process for me to understand that by chanting his name, what happens? By chanting Ramana's name, what happens is, first of all, the wandering mind, the mind which is wandering here and there, comes to. It's like a cow. If you don't feed it food, what will happen? It will go to the neighbor's house and eat food. And you offer it food, still one day it will go there and second day it will eat here. After some time that cow, which is supposed to go to the neighbor's house, will not go to the neighbor's house and eat food here. So exactly the same way the mind, initially the mind will keep on wandering here and there. But as you keep chanting, what happens? This mind stays within. And as it stays within, what happens is that it leads you to detachment. Detachment means what? You are no more attached to all the thoughts which are coming because of your sensual movements of your eyes, nose, whatever you are able to see, hear or smell or whatever it is, you don't have any of those attachments anymore. And then we expand from me to we. That means we start like what Mahatma Gandhi did. Mahatma Gandhi had nothing, but he actually believed that he can get the country out of the British rule. And then what happened? He believed that and went forward with that. So similarly, everybody followed him. So once you start believing in things, people start automatically believing in you. And then it leads you to the same source. So spiritual quest, the doership. See, this is a very important aspect of spirituality, is the doership. See, we always, like I'm standing here, I'm talking. I believe that Venkatesh is speaking. But little do I understand that this body is in a bag of bones and flesh, and there is this Atman which is actually making everything happen. The more and more you go inwards, you start actually understanding the force which is making things happen. So, but the challenge is, there are two challenges. If one feels that one has progressed or evolved, there is a sense of ego that comes in. Or the other way, if you feel that you have not progressed, a sense of guilt comes. Either of them does not help you to progress. See, and as per Bhagavan, the good thoughts as well as the bad thoughts are both limiting in your progress. So we need to understand very clearly that if we have to progress, we have to come to a situation of stillness. You should start being aware of what is happening. And once you come to the point of stillness, then whatever this body has to do now, if it has to say something, it will automatically say.